fiveanddimeeaston.com. They have their website officially up. You can shop most of their stuff online. They also have Fucked. They have Fucked in the store. I think they're the only one allowed to sell Fucked out of their store. It's 484-544-4719. That's at Five and Dime Easton on social media. These guys are great. I mean, they're killing it. It's the best skate shop, in my opinion, in the area. They have a lot of cool stuff there. Both the owners are rad. I stop in when I can. They're open Monday through Friday, 11 to 7, Saturday, 10 to 7, and Sunday, 11 to 5. There is someone always there to help you out with your needs. You can check their inventory off the website. You can check out some videos they got on there, and they're doing some cool things. Their social media is awesome. They support a lot of local skaters in the area, and they're growing. I'm excited to be a part of them growing. I'm excited to help them out. They're helping me out. It's a good relationship, and I push Five and Dime Easton because they're the best skate shop in the area. Check them out. BTG Blasting. My man, Pat Cunningham, offering you pressure washing, disinfecting, acid washing, and rust removal. It is a high pressure washing business, bringing your stuff back to glory. He does anything from houses all the way to having him come into the studio. He comes down to the studio on a schedule and he disinfects the studio, and we are certifiably clean, and it just covers all the bases. So with the things that are going on now, you're going to need somebody like this. He's got a sticker out front. I am certifiably clean down here. He also offers free estimates on all your needs. He can do corporate and at home. You can reach him at 484-241-1711 and btgblasting@gmail.com. He just started this business and it is taking off. I'm super excited for him, and I'm super excited that he's a sponsor of the show. And you can check out BTG Blasting on social media for all of your pressure washing, disinfecting, acid wash, and rust removal needs. It's high pressure washing, bringing your stuff back to glory. He offers many things, and you need to check him out. Eric K. Dowdle, defense attorney. We had him on the show, and what crazy stories this guy's had. He's helped a ton of people over the years. And if you're looking for help, he is your guy. You can contact them at 610-882-3000, and it's ekdefense.com. Do you have a pending court case? Do you have a court appearance and need a defense lawyer? Do you need proper representation? Felony, misdemeanor, drug offense, assault, homicide, DUI, traffic violation, appeals. Reach out to Eric. Check out the podcast we did with him as well. It has his whole story on there. If you need help, Eric is here to help you. He sponsors the show. We appreciate it. He's going to be doing a monthly thing with us. Eric will be a part of the family now. Thank you for sponsoring. Precision Laser. Precision Laser is a family-owned aesthetic laser practice in Easton, Pennsylvania that was founded in 2019. They offer laser hair removal, laser tattoo removal, vascular and pigmented lesion removal, acne treatment, and more. Their team of licensed experts use cutting-edge technology and safe laser protocols to deliver you the best skin results throughout Easton, New Jersey, and the greater Lehigh Valley. They provide free consultations and affordable pricing to make laser treatments accessible to you all. To learn more about their services or book an appointment, please go to precisionlaserspecialist.com or call 484-306-0089. They are located at 42 South 3rd Street in Easton, PA, 18042. What do they run in this summer? Hair removal. I'd like to get this whole thing removed because of what do I want? A summer beach bod. They are running for $165 per session. You pick two: armpits, bikini Brazilian, upper legs, lower legs. This is what we're doing with them. I'm excited to have them, and I'm excited for them to be working with us. They're on the podcast. You can check out everything they're doing on the website, and thank you for being a sponsor. Look good this summer. Look good. 128 or 129. It'll actually be probably 130. Who knows? We don't have to do this anymore, but we keep doing it. Welcome to Never Again Radio. You made it here. It's only been 2 years of trying to do this.
You know, better late than never.
We tried to do it, I think, when did I first tell you about it, Shiby? I think we were just audio at the time.
It was at least a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
And then we're in, I don't know, we're at 100 episodes, but that's
starting over.
Yeah. I think it was, all the people that we fumbled and didn't get on, it ends up being better because I would rather you hear with a fully produced. Now there's content and we know what we're doing.
This is a beautiful setup.
Thank you. It's been a long, vicious road.
Yeah.
But it's up and running.
It's vibey.
Thanks.
Yeah.
This is just kind of everything I've collected over the years, and it's my safe space that I like to create in.
I love it.
Do you have a space like that? Where you write or get into things?
No.
Well, where do you write? You don't write like by a window in a chair?
No, I live in my head like all the time. And so I'm very like inner.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I can write anywhere. It's very strange. I don't have to I don't have a ritual or a thing, or it can really literally be anywhere because I'm just so into my own headspace.
When did you start writing?
God, I was a writer since I was like, before I was a songwriter.
Yeah.
I was a writer. I used to journal. I kept like diaries of like what I would do during the day.
Do
like
you still have them?
I do.
Yes.
I do. And sometimes I've read them and I'm like, wow, my handwriting was decent for like 2003 or whatever.
Yeah.
I would
When did you get into music? And like, when was that a thing that like, you picked up a guitar or an instrument and, I did it as a child. I didn't stick with it. But
were you good at it or?
I would have if I wouldn't have stopped.
Yeah.
I took guitar lessons and reading music frustrated me and I gave up.
I don't like the bass clef.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of the notes
Okay, you
mean.
didn't get that far.
They would be like,
You get
here's
that
how you
far.
play Louie Louie. And I was like, beep, beep, beep.
Oh,
and then he's like,
see?
hey, I need you to read that and play it back. And I was like, no.
See,
Goodbye.
I still can't do that.
Yeah.
I still don't.
It's
and
one of my
can't do
biggest
that.
regrets is
Yeah?
not following through. Like I see Randy, his cousin.
My whole family's musical. They all
Yeah.
play guitar or bass.
Oh, so
and
when you
they've
hang
all-
out with them, you're like,
Yeah, well, I mean,
they've all exceeded. So like
Yeah.
my cousin Randy has played. He's gone on tour. He's done a bunch of stuff. And
Yeah.
like when he was young, even his teacher was like, I'm done. I can't teach you anymore. You're done. And I was like, and
Yeah.
he was in middle school, and I'm like,
That's crazy.
And then same thing with my cousin with his bass. He was like, I don't know. You got to go to a different teacher. Like,
yeah, they
you're
would
good.
all play together, and then they
And
ended up
I don't
being
do
a
any of
band
it.
together. And
So I went to school for this.
it's still cool.
Kind of.
Still cool.
where was your beginning with music?
I used to have CDs and I would put them in a boombox and I would sing along to like whatever Madonna and like think that I sounded like them, or I would try to sound like them. That's my earliest memory, is like mimicking these female artists that I thought were great, like Whitney and Celine Dion. And at that point, it wasn't really any country except for Shania, the Come On Over album with Man, I Feel Like a Woman. I love that album.
That was a big deal when that came out.
Yeah, and especially like for up here, like we didn't really get, at least for me, like I don't remember mainstream radio. Like we didn't get a whole lot of like country up here. And so she was like country. And I was like, oh, this is different. This is cool.
Yeah, that would probably be like the first time they'd have it on like ZZO.
Yeah, like a pop, like a crossover
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, looking back on it, it's probably one of the earlier artists that actually did cross over to
Yes.
other genres on, because
Yeah.
it was taboo to play country on ZZO. You had to listen to Cat Country
It's like,
to
what
hear
is this?
country. Yeah.
And I think Faith Hill
Yeah,
did it a
yeah,
couple,
yeah.
like This Kiss and all of those. But no, I would just like sing along, and for some whatever reason, I like mimicked and wanted to sound like them.
Yeah.
And that was my first thing of like, I think I can sound like that. And I would try to sing like, 30-year-old women. At that point, I wasn't really listening to the things that kids my age were listening to, which were like Disney. And that I kind of turned up my nose at those things and was like, I'm listening to Mariah Carey. I'm not listening to Beauty and the Beast. Things like that. Although actually Celine Dion did do Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
That was on the greatest hits
What did she
album.
do? She did music for it? Like when Elton John did stuff for The Lion King?
No, she did the original like soundtrack recording of Beauty and the Beast, the song.
Oh.
With Peebo Bryson, I want to say his name is.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. She did the original like soundtrack.
So you were into
recording
the
of
older
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
When the younger kids were probably just into just cartoons and stuff. You were into
Yeah, I was
the more
into, like-
music and like kind of like the showmanship.
Yes, like
Yeah.
really mature stuff, and like obviously didn't understand any of the lyrics probably
Yeah.
of what was going on, but I was like, just remember these voices and thinking like I want to do that. It's just strange how you kind of latch onto things.
Yeah.
And I remember being very shy. And so I like the idea of like having a big singing voice for some reason.
Well, it's weird when you're younger to do stuff like that. Like I remember like mimicking comedians in movies or doing stuff like that in front of my parents' friends. But it's also hard to keep navigating that to actually go all the way up to where you're going. So what made you not stop doing it?
Yeah, that's a very good point. I joined like the school choirs in like third grade or whatever.
I was in the choir.
Yeah.
Were you?
I was.
What happened?
I was offered to join the Singing Boys of Pennsylvania.
Yes, so was I.
But then I had to go. Yeah, my voice is amazing. It's not. And then I went to.
It was at the time.
I was like, yeah, but I have to go play football. And they were like, oh, and I was like, no, I'm out.
Yeah, his name was Doctor. I forget his name. But he used to come in and would always yell, I do mean you, and he'd make all the girls would leave, and then you would go through it, and they called my parents constantly, and then I think when you hit a certain age, the voice changes, and then they don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
But they try and ship you
true.
over. They went over to like China or Japan, and they sing over there. Jer actually like followed through, signed up, and ended up overseas.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
And so you guys didn't get to go overseas?
No, my parents weren't letting me go with some estranged man. I'd be on a Netflix documentary.
Well, that's and I got as far as, hey, Dad, the Singing Boys. He goes, no. And I go, all right, we're done.
No, my mom always pushed for me to sing. She'd always say, you have such a beautiful voice, Michael.
Yeah.
But I was playing sports and skateboarding, and then,
That's a shame.
I never thought if I would have followed into the Singing Boys of Pennsylvania, what would have happened.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have stayed there and lived there for forever.
But now, how long did it take you? Now I know, like you said, when you're growing up, and it does. Like I said, my cousins playing in bands, I can tell like about what band they were in and what music was out, because they would kind of mimic the way they sang to like,
oh yeah,
this is like the Nirvana era, and this is like the Primus kind of thing, and this is like and I could pick it out. But
100%, I know what you're talking about.
How long did it take you to find your own way to do it?
That's interesting. I don't know. I just feel like I have a very opinionated, like, kind of vision thing for myself.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. And so I always had, like, I heard, like, melodies and things in my head, and I would have to think, like, have I heard this before? Am I, mimicking, am I hearing this from something else subconsciously or whatever? And I don't think I ever did. I would just hear like melodies, and I like to write, so I would put them, it was in high school when I started songwriting, and I would like put them with these lyrics and these things that I had written down, and I didn't really, I still love Taylor Swift. And so when she came out with that first debut album, it was like, she's maybe a year, 2 years older than me, and I was like, there's a girl who's from Why Missing, and she plays guitar, and she sings, and she writes her own songs, and she's 17. And that was like very like eye-opening, appealing to me.
Because it's local. Because Jewel.
And she did it.
Jewel did it, but she was in Alaska, so you didn't hear about it until.
Also, a lot older than me.
Yeah.
Like Taylor was like, I was in high school.
Your age, so you're looking at like, I can do this.
Yeah. Now she is 17 now.
It's not from far. I can do this.
Yeah. And I was like, amazing. And so, she kind of inspired me to like play guitar, write songs, all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never wanted to be anyone else.
Yeah.
But I do like to like, like listen to different genres, different artists, and kind of see what everyone's doing, the trends and things.
And how they change, because voice will change. So there's so many different vocals and the way people go in and out. So like I said, it could go album to album, go different things, or even genres. It depends. Like I'm in the country, but it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. So if I'm in my car and it's really quiet, or if I have like the kids in the car, it depends on what I listen to too. I can't listen to, Jamie Johnson or anything. Like they don't want to hear that. So I started getting heavily into like Norah Jones.
Okay.
And she's got a wonderful voice. Yeah. But it's like that really far reserved. Like it sounds like it's quiet. Like it doesn't really project as much.
Right.
But there's so many different nuances in it that makes it special. Like you can pick her out of a lineup.
Yes.
There's no one that's like, oh, that's I don't know. This kind of sounds like her. It's either her or it's not. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I like vocals like that. I like that you can distinguish like that's that person.
Oh, 100%. Like I'm still a huge Reba McEntire fan. She's the same. You can't be like, you hear it and you're like, is that Reba? You're like never doubting.
No, she has a lot of power.
Yes.
A lot of power. And it's very vocal. It's very loud. She can be quiet. She can be really quiet and be really nice. And that's hard. Someone's that are really powerful can't do that.
Right.
They can't be quiet. They can't be soft. It's either normal and then it's really loud and they get better, or it's straight up.
Did you guys watch
Yeah.
her sitcom?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't.
Really? I watched every.
What was it similar to? Like a Roseanne type show?
It was more of a family friendly.
It was.
Yeah.
But-
but Roseanne that's her own thing.
I just meant like a family sitcom, but I guess Roseanne is not.
Oh, like not that kind of humor. No.
No,
Yeah.
it was more not just like silly. I don't even know how you would describe
Life
it.
lessons?
Anything.
Kind
It
of like
wasn't-
Full House?
It kind of had an endearing lesson at the end of it,
Yeah.
but it was very quirky and the other Lucille Ball. They kind of
Yes. Yeah, that was
kind of like that, a little bit
I
like
grew
that.
up watching on my grandmother.
What?
My grandmother was making me watch Lucille Ball.
When did you start picking the guitar up? Like, what was was it the guitar that you first started playing and kind
Yeah.
of started writing your own country music? Was it when you picked the guitar up? Was it like kind of like you were like, yeah, I'm gonna do country?
No, it all came from Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
All came from Taylor Swift. I was like, again, like Shania was the only thing that I knew that was country. And little did I know it was like there was like Brooks and Dunn and Garth and like Shania's like the very tip of the iceberg of what is country.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that there's outlaw country and there's like all these different like genres of country pop, which is my lane. Like there's so many different things. And she kind of opened the door for me to check out Tim McGraw because she wrote that song Tim McGraw, and I was like, who's Tim McGraw? What's the deal with this? So I would check that out. And it just kind of snowballed. It's literally all from 17-year-old girl playing guitar that I saw on Nashville Star, whatever the first time I saw her, and was like, it was just eye-opening because I'd never seen a girl my own age like playing her own instrument. It's like, this is a song that I wrote myself, and I was like, oh, cool.
When did you start taking it serious? That you were like, you know what? Here's a song. This is together. We're gonna go somewhere and play it. Like that had to be nerve wracking.
No,
you just did it.
No, yeah. I was just like, I was always I'm more comfortable like in my artist self, than in my like normal life. No, I was never like doubting. Like I was never like, I was never like thinking this song sucks. I was just like, here, I wrote this the other day. Hope you like it.
It's nice. It's nice to have someone on here who's not depressed.
Oh no. That's not good.
It is. You're the first one.
I mean, I've definitely gone through like periods of that.
No, I'm just saying like a lot of
like
time,
attitude wise.
No, like when you get into an interview, it usually stems from like, oh, I was scared to do this, but it makes sense. And now looking at like how you conduct yourself and how you open for bigger people. When I watch the video, like there isn't any self-doubt there. And a lot of people will hide that behind like, holy shit, I was scared there. But what you're saying is that that's just who you are, which is awesome.
Right.
That you're just you just do it.
It's funny because I think I doubt like my personal self.
Yeah.
Like I doubt stuff in my personal life. I don't ever doubt.
Okay.
I don't ever doubt anything that I do as an artist.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's empowering. I mean, like I said, the first time I ever got really turned on to country, I mean, growing up, I was into heavier stuff, hard rock and metal and all that stuff. And
now countries can be rock, like Jason.
Yeah. But it's like I was there and I was like, I don't know. And they were playing like Alan Jackson and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it's good, I guess, if you're drinking. And it's a part like lightheaded, lighthearted. And then it wasn't until the one day I was flipping through and I was sitting there with my mom and like Garth was on Oprah. And he was just sitting down with his guitar and he was just like, what do you guys want to hear? And they were just calling out stuff and he's just singing and I was like, this is just raw. Like there's nothing behind it. It's just him singing a song and his voice is perfect. He's not trying. It's just flawless. And I was like, you know how empowering it is to just be like, okay, here we go. You know what I mean? Now there's artists it takes a lot to get to where they need to get.
Yeah.
But he's one of them that's not like that. And that's why I started liking him.
Yeah.
And then you start snowballing into other people like, well, who else can do this that's not fake? Yes. Oh, I know. I listen to your stuff.
Oh, no. I mean, like, there's tons of country artists that can do that.
There's a lot that can't.
Yes.
There's a lot.
He started getting me into country a little bit. My brothers are really into country. It was never my thing because I don't know. It was just something I never got into. But then within the last couple years, my brother Roger, and he's turned me on to some stuff that I'll put on Spotify. And then I'm like, oh, okay, it's not that I don't like country music. I haven't listened to anything a genre for me.
The best way you do it is you find somebody you like and then listen to what they listen to. Like, who do you consider a friend? And then you go, all right, well, I'll listen to your stuff. And then you start going down rabbit holes. But no, I'm cursed because I went to school for all of this. So I can listen to music and be like, oh, like you can't really sing that. Like it's fake. I know where you piece that together because you can't sing it.
Yeah.
And then when you watch a live performance, it's like, oh, all right, well, you're just a big phony. Like you're not like, I appreciate I could never do it. I'm not saying I could, but there's times I can look and just go, you're not hitting that note.
Well, I
There's
also think in studio
it's a different setting.
But not only that, like I feel like artists sometimes, like I'm listening to the studio recording and it's like they will not, especially if they're dancers or they're playing their own instrument, you're not going to be able to sing that and dance and or like have an electric or acoustic guitar thrown at you.
Unless you're Justin Timberlake.
And I know Bieber does.
I don't like Bieber, but
he plays.
Not like the Beatles.
He does drums. He does guitar. He plays acoustic.
I don't like him, but doesn't mean I don't respect what he can do.
Right.
And those like Timberlake dances around and still is belts out everything.
So I'm saying like I think they record the songs in the wrong key.
Yeah.
And like they should have put that in a lower key and they could sing it like it is on the record.
Yeah.
And not be like gasping for air. And so I think that's a lot of it too.
I can tell when I was in school. One of my teachers recorded Whitney. Right?
Okay.
So I had studio recordings that he had of her.
Okay.
He's like, I don't know. I just kind of kept these. I don't know if I'm allowed. And I was like, probably not.
Where?
I went to Institute of Audio Research in New York.
Ooh,
so he goes,
It's very luxurious.
Yes.
Wow.
I have a degree and I bail people out of jail. So there you go.
The stakes for this podcast is like it's risen.
Yes. No. But no, he had all these recordings of her doing, singing, and it was like all these outtakes and stuff. And I was like,
what did they sound like? I'm
just perfect. No, I'm serious. Here's the thing.
She's my favorite
When
artist.
you hear, and this is what you try to say, and it sounds weird to people that aren't in it, but when you listen to somebody and they sing something that you listen, you're like, perfect. And they go, no, let's do it again. And then they do it like 5 times and it's like, now I'm good. And I was like, it was perfect on 1. And the fact that you're that nitpicky and it's still perfect and I don't know what you're hearing in your head that isn't different. That's what this is showing. But I mean, everything was perfect. They didn't have to do anything. Now they played other recordings of other bands, like rock bands, and they show and they're like, this is where they messed up. And they would show the real thing and it's like, oh, they recorded this at like 3,000 decibels. So they're like, this is great. But when you listen to it at normal levels, it doesn't make any sense. But no, she can sing. She can sing.
she's still my favorite.
She can sing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people like that. And I heard a lot of weird stuff. He recorded one of the Jimi Hendrix things. So he plays that stuff. And they were like it's just amazing. When you have a real artist that can do a bunch of stuff, it just blows you away.
Right.
Well, I mean, just like, they're a different kind of person.
Now it feels like if you don't have that social media following, like it's kind of sad that like, you can't really break through.
No.
It's like crucial right now.
And that's what I was going to say, how it's got to be hard. I know it was hard for, country's got to be even harder to break through.
Yeah, I mean, country, I've like, not that I've like given up on it, but like as a girl, especially, like they say that like to break, break an artist, to break an artist is already expensive. And they say for country music, to break a female, it will like bankrupt the label.
Yeah. So well, you know what though?
No one wants to sign and take a chance on a girl just because logically you're probably not going to get your money back.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
but see that logic, and I'll tell you why that's changed, and I'm glad. And when I first started going to class, we literally learned how to cut tape and edit that way. And they were just getting into like, oh, look, it's digital. Like we're doing digital stuff. And I was like, okay, I can do digital stuff, but this isn't real to me. And then as it started going on, like certain bands, you listen to them and it's like, hey, it cost us $9 million to make this album. I'm thinking, how can it be $9 million? Well, I realized because the studio's whacking you for 10, 15 grand for a couple hours. And then you got this and you got this. But because of how far all of this has come, you can do this pretty much on your own. and you can get the same quality as they were getting back in the day, spending all that money, but it's exposure is what all they're paying for now.
Well, yeah, now it's the opposite.
Yes.
Yeah, now you're paying that money for marketing.
Yes. Before you didn't want to.
And you have to like make your money on the road.
Yeah.
Like, I have a couple friends who did stuff with albums and whatnot, and he's just like, he would have to make his money going on the road, and then he would be like, well, why is everybody in this meeting getting paid except for me, and this is about me? And then the only way I get to make money is if I have to go out and tour, and then he's like, and then that's backbreaking and grinding work, and you have to, if you have a band with you and everything else, and he's like, it's so much, but then, you know, everyone else who's just sitting at the labels getting paid, and I don't know, there's a lot to it that I've seen over the years just talking to different people. It's like anything else, it's just a monster of a grind, and
I think a lot of it's luck.
Yeah.
It stinks.
Yeah,
I mean, like
and
I said, I'm a big fan of Jamie Johnson. Like, he's my favorite. I've seen him probably 10 times. I've been backstage. I've been everything. And that guy, he got signed.
Yeah.
Put out music. Was writing for everybody. Put out an album.
He's written a lot of great songs.
They took all of his music. He went to jail. He got in trouble. Went to jail. They took all his music, put it out, and he's just like, I'm famous and I don't have any money. So he was like, I don't know how this works, but somehow my songs are famous and I don't have any money. Like, how did?
Yeah.
So then he went on his own and started going and figuring out a new way, and then hooked up with Kid Rock. Kid Rock brought him out for no reason. He wasn't supposed to play at I think it was the American Music Awards. I think it was, or was it? I believe it wasn't Country Music Awards. It was American Music Awards.
They performed at both, so I'm not sure.
But he did. The first time he came out, they were like, ladies and gentlemen, Kid Rock, and he comes out and he's playing country, and I'm going, something's different. And this guy comes out with a huge long beard, and I'm like, and he starts singing. I was like, I really like that. Like Southern.
It's Southern rock.
It's Alabama. And I was like, man. And then Kid Rock came out and sang with him. And I'm like, how cool is it that he just took, hey, I'm going to perform, gave half the stage to another guy and was like, this is my friend Jamie. And then all of a sudden, off to the.
But it is interesting that, like, I've had friends that's like, you know, I went #1. I had the #1 country song, you know, in the country, and still bartending at, you know, I think Mickey Guyton, who at the time was signed to Universal or something, she was still working at Nordstrom. Yeah. Like, you know, and
it shouldn't be that way. And they're making all the money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like but they invest in, you know, your album, your marketing, your tour. They buy the tour bus. They give you the publicist. You don't pay for any of that. Yeah. It's like, you know.
But you know who has the best gigs? Are the hip hop guys.
Yeah.
They were coming out giving them like, hey, you're 20 years old or 18 years old. Here's $100,000. And they're like, oh, right. And then it's like, at least they made $100,000.
They also stream hip hop, I think, is the most streamed genre.
They figured it out.
Yeah.
They figured it out.
Like that streams, they're making money on the streams, I think. And country's like lagging very far behind.
But you know what, though? It's gotten more famous, though, I think.
Yeah.
There's more people in the country now than there have been. I mean, like I said, growing up, I wouldn't listen to country.
Well, same. I'd be like,
no, I'd run into like, I had like one friend. It was Billy Loudon, and they were into country music. They were, and like he wore a cowboy hat, and he didn't give a shit. He didn't get out of school.
Nope.
Acted like he was from down south on a farm,
Yeah.
2 houses down from me.
Yeah.
But he was, and then you would go over there, and it was just they listened to country music.
Non-stop.
But good country music, like, you know, I still like Loretta Lynn. You ain't woman enough to like old country. Like it's a lot of it is just really good, and there's this perception of it that it's like super twangy and like unlistenable. And no, it does. It's not.
No. So what I used to do is because I have to because my wife won't listen to country. She doesn't like it. It's stupid. It's stupid. We don't want it.
Well, there are some stupid songs.
There are. Oh, there's some really dumb. But
there's
anyway,
some terrible songs.
Yeah. But to sneak it in, we're in the car, whatever, the kids are there, and I'll just throw on Zach Brown, and she's like, "Oh, I like this guy." Okay. And then I would slowly go a little bit more like into it. And I was like, oh, and she's like, oh, this. And I was like, yeah, you hear this like on D104, like it's still country,
right?
And she's like, he's not country. I was like, oh, really? Because he has awards that say he's country.
Yeah. Well, then, Sam Hunt is another one that I
that was every radio station played that.
Yeah, it's country, it's pop, it's like it's a little bit hip hop.
But that was a problem. So I had my not the youngest, the oldest daughter. I don't want her to listen to the crap that's out on the radio. I don't want any of that crap. So I'm like, I'm just gonna play stuff for you, and I'll just put the seeds in her head, and I'll just play country when she's in the song or in the car. That's all we'll listen to. That way, it's just me and her.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you just start seeing her like moving her head around. I'm like, all right, like she's grooving a little bit. We'll work it in. And I'm like, here you go. So I'm like, who am I gonna pick? And I was like, I'm like, I don't know. I'll listen to this. So then I was like, so I started off like Casey Musgrave. So it's like, here, she's younger. She likes to pick it up. I was like, what about this girl? She's like, oh, she's beautiful. I was like, okay, I don't care what she looks like. How do you like the way she sings? She goes, oh yeah.
And
then
was
it was
it Casey?
Like, yeah. And then she goes, okay. And then I go, all right, well, what about like, like Carrie Underwood? Oh, her videos are beautiful. And I go, okay, well, what about the music? Do you like the music? Like, stop looking at all that.
But
that's the way everything is now.
At the same time, though, it's like the image, like it kind of has to, I think, with the music.
And the way YouTube changed everything.
I'm trying to bypass all that. I don't want that.
Because YouTube pretty much became MTV because I remember just getting into YouTube and I'm like, oh, this is where the music videos are. And then like that changed how we started hanging out down here, where we would just get some beers and hang out on the couch and we'd just put YouTube on, and then someone would be like, oh, what's a cool video? And I was like, because
I try to do it at home and I get yelled at.
It's like videos came back though, but only on YouTube. So it's a weird time because it has to be everything. You have to hit all the bases.
Well, I think also because I hear music in my head as like cinematic little like moments, so I see an image.
Yeah, that's how I am with like
or
visualizing.
And
you
know
what?
And I really do like piece that, like, I don't know if I'm picturing Carrie when I listen to her music, but I'm picturing like a scenario in my mind of, and maybe it's not even me. It's just.
Do you
like,
think that comes from all the journaling and writing when you were a kid? Because it's like the creative.
Maybe.
Like I used to write a lot, and then even having this discussion now, I kind of look at like when you write, you're creating the story in your head, and you're visualizing it. You're not visualizing the words, and then it's almost like playing a movie, and the words are coming out.
Yeah, but see, kids aren't going to grow up like that. Like we grew up, you could hear a song, and I can tell you what the video was about. Because that's how we grew up. Like this, this video is awesome for this song. Kids don't have that now. Nobody really makes music videos anymore.
No, well, because there's so many videos on TikTok. It's like they kind of. I think.
Well, I see the kids with TikTok now is like where it's not even like dancing; they're just repeating, like, you know what I mean? Like it's weird that like, I guess it would be kind of like when the older generations had like the hustle and stuff, where now it's like a short 10-second version of like these dance moves.
Well, I do think that there's a lot of good content on TikTok. I don't mind it. I'd like to stick.
My brother Richard's
obsessed with it. There's a lot of new artists that put their stuff out, and they're like, hey, I follow a lot of those people.
Yeah.
They'll play it. I'm like, wow, holy crap.
There's great, and like, granted, they're pretending like they didn't set these videos up.
Yeah.
Oh, we just happened to like whatever.
There's a large group of people that believe that the video is real too.
And that's just dumb. Like, this is a setup, but that doesn't change the fact that it's a great 10-second bit.
No, and it's not easy to do that either. Yeah, it's not easy to do.
And you guys know, like, to edit some of that stuff together, and like some of the photography. And
that was a huge learning curve when Instagram do you remember when Instagram just allowed you to put they used to just be photos. Then they went to video, and it was like a minute, I think was the longest you can do it. Well, I'd be like, cool, we'll edit these promos. And I started editing the promos, and I'm like, holy shit, that's not a lot of time.
No.
And then it's like, we have an intro and an outro, and I'm like, I got to cut the intro and outro out of this.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then it wasn't easy and now it's to the point where like, I'll put on HBO Max, and their intro to HBO Max is literally boom, boom, and it's over. It's like 0.5 seconds. And then you notice that, and I'm like, holy shit, like they're pulling it off, that it's now becoming.
Yep. Yeah. I agree with you completely.
It's nuts.
Like the theme song is like.
Yeah. My buddy, who he was writing music for the commercial we're putting out for the new Working Class t-shirt that we're doing. And I'm like, hey, here's the video. It's 5 minutes long. And he's like, yeah, dude. He's like, you need to cut this to 30 seconds. And I'm like, what? I'm like, we spent a day shooting it all. But it's the truth. It's like the attention span of anything, the long format is really gone.
Yeah.
No, because no one wants to take the time to sit and like watch something like with an arc. Or like they just want, what's the message? What's the thing? Let's just get to it, and I'm going to watch the next thing that comes up in my...
No, you know how that bothers me? Like, I grew up listening to like the whole... You get a CD, you listen to it straight through. You don't stop. You listen to everything, and you're like, I'm going to keep listening to it over and over.
It's hard to find albums to listen
my
to.
daughter, she'll go and she'll just still listen to like half the song and then skip ahead. And I was like, well, what the hell happened to the other half? Now I'm over it. It's done.
Like a DJ at a high school dance.
Stop it.
Let's go.
Yeah. But no, I'm glad. No, so now I've directed her her first concert. She couldn't go. We actually got tickets for Carrie Underwood, and then we had to cancel because of all this crap. But she went to Allentown Fair with me, and she saw Miranda Lambert. And she's never seen anybody play live at all, any live music. And she just stood there and stared, and she's like, is this what it's like? And I go, yeah, why? And she goes, this is the best day of my life. And I'm like, all right, well, I think I got her now. I think we're all right. But she's like, she's really into Miranda Lambert. And I was like, then my wife's like, I don't know about some of that content. I was like, please. The stuff that's
Did you start going? Did you start
worse.
going to concerts and stuff at a young age?
No.
Yeah.
So
No.
did you just start? Okay, so did you just start performing?
I'm telling you, I listened to these songs. I'm telling you guys, I listened to these songs on the radio, and then I think I'm such a narcissist because I would listen to Without You, Mariah Carey, these huge songs by these older women, and just be like, I think I can do that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't.
So when did you start doing
wasn't
it?
Even.
Because you bypassed going to concerts and being like, I think I can do that. You're like, no, I can just do this.
Yeah, I didn't care. I didn't even. I was like, no.
Yeah, first couple steps, done.
Yeah.
No, I think I think that it was when I got a solo in elementary school, and it was like elementary school ended. Our school ended at 5th grade. And so I think I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and like all the 5th graders auditioned, and I got it. And I was young. I was on the young end. So they were all mad at me. And so I did this solo, and like it went well, and people like told me I was good. And I was like,
And that's all it took.
yeah, people were like, you're good at this. I was like, maybe I am. Maybe I am.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's all it took and then I just continued to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Where did you start releasing your music and stuff that you were writing? Were you doing it through like SoundCloud, or you're doing it through labels? Like, how are you getting your music out there for other people to hear?
So it wasn't until like, I want to say, God, it was after college that I actually publicly released anything that I wrote, just because I think I'm a perfectionist and I wanted it done right. And so it's expensive too with country, because you have to pay the fiddle player, the mandolin player. It's all real instruments.
Yeah.
And so it was like after college that I put out my first song, and it was on like, I used CD Baby and put out a song, and like it didn't do, like I made like, $30 on it total the entire duration that it was like lived online.
Totally worth it.
And so it was like what I made at my live gigs, it was just like that was appealed to me more than getting people to listen to this song so I can make a penny off of it. And so at that point, like money really drove where my priority was. And so it really wasn't in dumping all this money into recording this stuff that like I'm not making any money off of.
Yeah.
And so I would just, it was in me singing and people coming up to me and being like, you're great, you should keep doing this. And that's where I got engagement, reaction, money. It's exciting. You get to go to new places. And so that was way more appealing to me.
That's great that you even had the ability to see those avenues, because a lot of people do get caught up in with like, no, how this works. Yeah,
CD.
like how
That's
this
how it's
works.
supposed to work. Yeah.
How this works is we're gonna put out an album and then we're gonna go on tour.
I mean, well, you have a product then that you can push, but my thing is I'm pushing this product that's not selling, that's not making me money.
That's
not
what
that
I'm
it's
saying
not selling. People are listening to it and telling me, this is my favorite song that you put out, blah, blah, blah. Like people are listening. It's not that they're not. It's just I'm not seeing a monetary return on it that's going to, pay my bills with music.
But I think a lot of people get blinded by creating the album and getting, no, this does have to sell well for us to go. Like I've seen it with a couple of people, and it's just, hats off to you for being like, nah, I think I'm just gonna go over here and make money and then keep doing the thing that I love doing, and then like this will figure itself out, and then it's like I can just keep getting bigger in the area, and then it's like I'm not wasting $30,000.
It's like you're like, you could go into debt.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I know people who have, and then hey, everybody's throwing in this much money. They're all working a full-time job, and then it's like then they're trying to get all this stuff together. When if they would have just went and played, it would have worked itself out anyways.
Right. Unless they're like studio rats and they really enjoy like tinkering and like mixing and doing that. And so I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't really interest. I think it's fascinating, but I'm not interested in doing it.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to sit at a computer and like mix all of the things down, and like I don't want to deal with any of that. It's like it's tedious for me.
What was it like for you when you first started getting the money coming in and the gigs. And, you know, I know what it's like to feel like when you get on a roll and you get momentum behind you and you get in your lane and you just keep going and going and going and it's pushing. Like, what was that like for you to be?
And then
you know,
COVID happened.
Yeah.
Like, what was it like before COVID when you know, you're putting out your songs and your music and you're booking and you're doing all this stuff and you're able to play music and do it for a living? Not a lot of people get to do that, or not a lot of people have, I guess, I don't know how to say it in a kosher way, the balls to go ahead forward and actually find the lane and go. A lot of people are really scared to do what they want to do for a living.
Yeah. I don't know. I always felt like since I was a kid, that's like, I get on these things and that's what I wanted to do, and I don't really like to quit.
Yeah.
I like to make stuff work, which has actually come back to bite me in the butt.
Of course it does.
Some things that I'm like, I should have walked from that.
Yeah.
I put way too much time into that, and it was never going to work, and it was stupid. But it's kind of like I like to do things, which probably this also isn't great either, but that people tell me that I can't do.
No, I'm driven by that.
Yeah, like out of just spite. Like, it just feels good.
It could be a stranger and I'll hold on to that.
Right? It's so great. It's a great feeling though.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I think to be underestimated.
Yeah.
I enjoy being underestimated. Like it's
the conquering. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Once you do, you're like, ha!
Yeah.
Ha, ha, ha.
Like, and there's no real joy in like winning or succeeding
No.
if there's not that like,
No, there
like
is.
you
There's
worked.
internal joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's great. And so like, I don't know, like I had teachers and things that were like, you know, you're going to have to like do something else for
Yeah.
work.
You know, I had a teacher
And I'm
tell
like,
me that
I don't.
once.
I'm not doing anything
Yeah.
else for work.
A
You're
teacher
wrong.
asked me what I wanted to do, and I think I told her at the time, what grade was it? 4th or 5th grade, and I'll never forget this. We were going around, and she's like, "What would you like to do?" And I was like, "I think I'd like to play college football." I was like, and I don't even know why I said that. I didn't even like football. I wasn't that good at it. I was a center.
I was a center. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
But I think it was good. My dad played and he was all state and stuff like that. So I was like, I want to play college football. And she goes, well, what happens when you get hurt? And I was like, what? And she's like, I have a cousin who's paralyzed from playing football, and that could happen. And I was just like,
Why would you tell a child that?
She was like, it was very direct. It was very, and she just crushed me. And I was like, well, I guess I can't play football. But like, it's terrible when like somebody tells you like you can't do the things that you want to
mean.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, believe me, it's definitely changed now. I love when people tell me stuff like
Yeah.
that. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
because I know once I say something out loud, and it's not something that I'm like bragging about, but I just noticed down the like over the years that if I say it out loud, I now hold myself accountable to finishing it. And there's very few things that I haven't done. I may have had to like change the idea because it was totally insane, and there was enough people being like, "Hey, I don't think we should do that." But for the most part, if I'm like, "Hey, we're gonna do this," it's gonna happen, whether it's gonna be a year or 5 years. So if anyone doubts me, it's like you're either not paying attention and you're just hating on me because you don't know me, but like that's just how I am. I'm just built differently. And some people aren't built like that, and that's great. Do your
Right.
thing, but don't shit on me because I'm telling you I want to do something.
No, I agree. I agree 100% because I feel like I'm the same way.
Yeah.
You know, it's just great. It's great when people are like, that's never going to work. And then it works. You're like, wow, you feel like superhuman. You're
Yeah.
like, this is great. You guys are all wrong.
What was it like getting a fan base?
It's hard. It's hard getting a fan base. You
Yeah.
know, yeah. Actually, I haven't really talked about this like at all ever, but that's a good like topic. Yeah, it's interesting. People don't talk about how you gain fans. Like
That's
especially
not
now-
easy.
No, because it's like we talked about a couple minutes ago with the little short clips and things.
Yeah.
It's like people, you know, people on Instagram and TikTok, and they want these short, quick things, and then they move on to the next one. And it's like, I want another one. I want another video. And it's like you don't really invest in one thing or one person or whatever. I think it's hard to build a relationship that way, especially when it's these short bit things.
And if you end up with a fan base that's not engaging, like I know people that have come on here and they've had really like engaging fans. I'm like, I don't have that much of an engaging, like I do so much different stuff. People kind of come and go, and over the last 2 to 3 years I can see it being created, but I know how long it's going to take. But like to get a group of people who are like invested into your stuff and they're
Die
buying
hard.
your
I'll buy
music,
everything
yeah.
that you do and hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's like I built it a little bit with the apparel, but then, you know, you can't expect people to just buy clothes off of you for 20 years. So
Depends on the clothes.
You can.
I still have people that, you know, they're the day ones and they're like, yo, I'll come by and pick it up. And they always mess with stuff when it's why I keep doing it.
I also feel like it's people who are like, they're there for like the story part of it, like the journey with you.
Yes,
and
they
like,
go with you.
Yeah. And it's like, there's not a separation there. It's like, we're all like, they all see me, you know, like my first opening act, or like people who've been with me that long, like you see each step and like the growth and stuff. And it is kind of like cool. It's a relationship.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's hard, but when you do get those people, like they're there. They're like supportive. They don't leave. Like
what's that feel like for you?
What do you mean?
To like have fans who follow along and they're rooting you on and they love all the music you put out and they tell you things about it. Like, what's that like to experience that?
Yeah, it feels like people are listening and, you know, and that they care about what I'm doing, which is cool. It also feels it does feel very personal at times. It feels like exposing, like people know me, but like we're not friends, but like we are.
It's weird.
I think that's the fine line. You want to show them how you are as a person, and you want them to be engaging. But also, like, I don't know you. Like, you're not going to come to my house and be like, "Hey, I know everything about you. I know this. I know." No, you don't want to go that far.
But
there's a fine line.
Feels that way.
Yeah. Oh no, there's
You know, like I do it. Like I feel like I know Taylor Swift, for instance.
Yeah.
Or like,
sure,
you know,
not?
people I follow, like artists, and not even artists, even like actors or people that I'm fans of. Like I watch their films, things like that. And I'm like, you know, I feel like I know this person. You know, I've watched them interview.
But that's the ultimate thing people always said, that don't ever meet any of your idols.
Yeah.
Because you'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
So that some of them are really good at that, saying like, yeah, this is how it is, and it's all like, and you meet them and you're like, oh, it's a disappointment. And then you're like,
yeah. But I also feel like some of those stories that I read, I'm like, they sounded like they were tired, crabby, maybe they had a headache.
I don't understand. Look how mad he was in this shot. Well, it's 6 a.m. He was probably filming all the night before, and the first thing he's getting is a bunch of cameras going, and it's like, well, of course, like, leave me alone.
Mm-hmm. And even like stuff
you signed up for this. Oh, did I? No, I didn't sign up to be bothered.
Yeah, and I also feel like
you know what I mean?
Like say you had a fight with like, you know, your wife, whatever.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what happened to them.
And literally the second after you walk out the door and somebody's just like, what's going on? What are you doing? What's going on with their wife? What's she mad about? I'd be like, no, that's why I'm not famous, because they would be not.
I always get, and it doesn't happen a lot, but like, I'm so busy and like I just do all this stuff, and like I know people are listening and I see the numbers, but like I don't know who's actually listening. But I'll get like messages from people and they'll be like, hey man, like you said this in this podcast and it was like super motivating to me. And then like I have these moments where it's bizarre that like, because I'm trying to do something here. Like it's a motivational podcast. It's trying to motivate people. I ask questions. So like the answers are exposing the person so that somebody has self-belief and like they can go after what they want to do. But when that actually occurs and somebody tells
You're
me,
shocked.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm like what you said. It's very. I'm like, oh, all right. I guess you did get that. But like in a core, it's like I'm just trying to express myself that way. I can't just be like, tell me this and that.
Yeah.
But then like when it's actually exposed, like it does feel very personal. Where you're like, oh, all right, cool. And then like I'm getting more comfortable with like responding back and being like, thank you. Like that's what the show is. But like the first couple, I was just like, okay, like, all right, man.
Like, felt awkward.
Yeah. Or like I saw, our buddy Sean was, I saw him at Giant. He was like wearing one of my t-shirts and it's still weird to me when I run into people wearing my clothing.
Really?
Like, I'm just like, oh, all right.
No, see, and the best is I don't remember anything I say on here.
We're
'cause I
polar
just shut it
opposite.
out.
We're polar opposites
Listen,
with confidence.
Yeah. No, I shut it out, so I'll have people go like, hey, you were talking about it in that show, and I was like, I don't know, did I? did it bother you? Because if it did, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Well, because I feel like it's very organic, and we're just I just
don't
feel
remember.
like I don't
remember anything.
because there's no script. You're just
No. What's it like when a fan connects with you on the music and like gets it to like, you know, you write a song and they're like, oh my God, I love that song.
See, ironically, that moment is definitely all about me.
Yeah.
And not about them at all when
Yeah.
that person comes up to me, because especially when they tell me what my song is about and they're right,
Yeah.
I feel that I don't feel exposed. That moment I feel like not lonely.
Yeah, all right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, they're like, that song, whatever, car crash, like I had a guy dump me about, gossip or, reputation type stuff. And like that whole story of that song that happened to me. And it really resonated with me. And I'm just like, wow, yeah. I'm not alone. This is not an isolated
Maybe I
thing.
should start
Well, whoever and
thinking
the
that
music
way.
you pick for that is good. It is very bassy. Like in the background, it is
the car
awesome.
crash one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put in my car. I was like, holy, I like this.
I actually wanted
Yeah.
more. I was like, can you turn the bass up? He's like, that's as high as it goes. And I was like,
No,
oh.
it's just the right amount that it's not overpowering, but I was like, oh, wow.
I
okay.
wanted it to feel like, a rap, super poppy hip hop song.
See, that's what I said. I'm in it all different. Like, I like that because I like the song. I'm never going to tell you that I agree with meanings because I don't know where you're coming from unless you said this means this. I wouldn't have and I would do that. But like I'll listen to that. But that one I wanted to ask you that I was on YouTube and you did the acapella for Bodyguard, right? Which is amazing.
Thank you.
But
Thanks.
where was that at?
Oh, the location
Yeah.
of it. I think I put it in the description. It's at the Vault. That's near here in Allentown.
Where is the vault?
So
Oh wait, I know
He
that.
works in Allentown.
Yeah, I work in Allentown.
Downtown Allentown. So
dare
So do
you.
I, but I don't hang out there. But I went there and I'm like, I saw you and I was like, where is
it's
the
like
vault?
it's like right across from Hamilton Kitchen. They have a speakeasy 1920s
Oh,
style.
no. See, I don't listen.
They
I
closed.
say that.
They closed like because of the pandemic, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to reopen, and it's like 1920s, like styled. It's so cool.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, and the acoustic in there were awesome.
think
so
I
I was
was
like,
yeah.
this is so. When
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is great. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I stay like I work there.
Yeah.
See, it's different because of my job. I don't want to hang out there because I will see people that I work with.
Oh.
So I don't want to like. And we got into this last show with the last guy we got on, like the people that I deal with.
Yeah.
When I don't want to see them in public because I don't want them to see me out in public and think I'm their friend, and because I'm not your friend. Like I'm not. I mean, it sounds mean, but
No.
I don't know if you know what I do.
It's
Yeah.
a very bizarre
Wait.
job.
No,
I don't know what you're.
No, I'm a
He's a
bail, I'm a
rodeo
bail
clown.
bondsman.
You're a what?
I'm a bail bondsman.
What?
Yeah, so I bail people out of jail,
Yeah.
and then if they don't show up, we go and look for them.
He's
and
my
bring them
favorite
back.
person to call when he's at work. It'll just be either
So-
him totally freaking out in the
So
office.
that's what we were talking
or
about,
dealing
the
with
show that's
people.
coming out soon.
Crazy job.
So like, there's whole things like if we're in the mall or somewhere walking around, and like someone's like, "Hey," like I have code words to tell my family to just keep walking because I don't want like, "Hey, inmate, that I know what you did and I know that you're guilty and you did a bunch of time." I don't want you
Yeah.
like meeting my kid.
yeah.
And be like, "Hey, how are you?" I don't do that.
Yeah. No,
So that's why I work in
It's
Allentown.
understandable.
People are like, "Do you live around here?" I go, "No."
I doubt that those people are at the Vault. That's all I'm saying.
You listen. I hope not. I hope not.
I doubt.
Yeah.
Severely doubt.
Yeah, I don't know where you're hanging out in Allentown,
No, I'm
man.
not. I'm out of
Yeah,
there.
I don't
I'm
think they're
gone.
at the 9-course chef's tasting
Listen,
at the Vault.
Listen, I bet you.
I mean,
No,
maybe.
no. You know what?
Maybe.
You'd be surprised. Like,
Yeah, I
you'll go to
bet.
some of these places, and we'll say a certain type of person that does a certain kind of illegal activity.
Okay.
Tends to have a lot of disposable income,
Okay.
and you'll see them when the casino was open, and you'll see them at like the upscale restaurant
Mm-hmm.
sitting there enjoying it. It's just like. You don't belong there.
I wanna
like,
trans-
you're dropping like $300 on a dinner.
Yeah.
Like you just got okay, whatever. I mean, I know the money isn't legal. We'll say that, but
No, I want to transition because you brought up the 9-course meals.
Yeah.
When did you start getting into food?
Yeah,
You
she's
Oh
post
a
yeah,
a
we
lot of
talked
food.
about.
Yeah.
So are you.
Yeah, no, I used to cook. I love food. I'm a
Yeah.
big
So
foodie.
you post
Yeah.
some amazing pictures also.
Thank you.
No, like I just noticed that like my phone, half of my phone before I started this Instagram food blog thing was these, horrible grainy photos of like meals that I've eaten, and I'm like, I see all these photos that I've kept in my phone, and I'm just like, I don't remember A, what the dish was, B, where it was, and I'm like, these should live somewhere online as like a resource for people, because like when I choose to go to a restaurant, I hop on Instagram and I search the location tag,
Yeah.
and I see like what people are posting of like the inside, what the
Yeah.
food looks like, things like that, and I'm like, I could be helping people like myself who do this also.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started. I was like, I'm gonna post.
You eat a lot of
know,
good food.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'm always
Honored,
like, oh, all right.
flattered.
I'm like, they're always
Which
getting
you
such
think about
good
it as a
food.
pretty damn creepy thing. Like, you ate really good food.
Well, you have to pick off the you have to
No,
be
I
a good
know.
picker of food.
Food's easy. Like, not easy, but like, food pops so good on social media. Like, I got back into food and I'm like it was hitting so hard where now like I want to do pop-ups because I'm like pushing fully produced shows, and then I post a hamburger and it's through the roof and I'm like, ah!
Yeah, and it took you like 2 seconds to like put it on a plate and like, I do the same thing.
But now
Yeah.
but now I pay attention to it because I'm learning business through social media, and I'm like, all right, well, if you're getting this many people involved, let's try and sell tickets to selling smash burgers out front of the studio. And like now, so like, and
Yeah.
I love food, so like my main goal is like kind of mimicking. I have different people that I watch after, but one of them is Action Bronson, and my favorite thing about Action Bronson is Action Bronson does whatever he wants, and he makes money doing it whatever he wants. So if he wants to go over here and do hip hop stuff, then he goes over here and does a TV show, then he goes over here and he's selling you ice cream, then he goes back to music, then he's selling olive oil. Like, that's my favorite thing to see when there's somebody who's like, no, I don't have to stay in a lane, I can go into all 5 and I can make money in all 5. So then I try to start dialing in like the food, and I'm like, well, I love food. It's one of my favorite passions, cooking, and creatively it's a rabbit hole and I'm good at it. And it took a while for me to even say I was good at it, but now that like having social media, you know, the likes is more like people being like, yeah, do it. Yes, do it more. And then
Yeah,
people being like, yo, I want to
encouragement.
buy your food.
Yes.
And then when it's got to the point where like, I've been making those burgers, I've been dialing that burger in for 2 years. And like now I'm like, okay, cool, I can sell them. Like, we're good to go. Like,
Are you gonna do it?
yeah. And
'Cause
because
I
of this
think-
dumb town, there's like no real laws. So they're like, give us $100.
Don't say that
They're
out
like, pay us in rabbit pelts, sir. And I'm like, what year is this?
I think your breakfast sandwiches.
That's my
also-
favorite thing.
Yeah,
My favorite
they-
thing, the best thing that I cook is a breakfast sandwich. Yeah.
Those pictures are pretty.
Yeah,
they're-
I love the breakfast sandwich. I learned how to do that because we'd come into work early, and it'd before the boss is there, and it would just be the guys, and we're just trying to find an ounce of hope that our day isn't going to be terrible when we know it's going to be. And I'd be like, I'm going to make us breakfast sandwiches. And they would be like, oh my God. And we just split them and eat them, and then the rest of the day would suck.
Yeah. Well, they look amazing.
No, and like I'm like, the goal is with that is to eventually do, I don't know. I worked that industry. It's really hard. It's like the same thing, the exact same thing as what you said, where it's like, okay, I can do brick and mortar. That's an album. Or I can go over here and get a pop-up license and get a food truck or a food trailer and go make money.
I feel like a lot of people start that way now.
Yeah, it's that was the best thing that came out of the pandemic was people started doing pop-ups, and food control started being in the restaurant owner and not in the customer. And I don't like, and I'm like, demand of, you're make more food. It's like, no, I'm making when we first do that pop-up, I'm just doing 50 burgers.
Yeah, this is what I'm making. It's either
I'm not
you
even
want
gonna,
it, or this here it is.
the amount of money that it would actually make isn't anything great, but I'm like, all right, I'm not going to buy enough burgers to feed 500 people and 25 show up. Like, what am I going to do with all that? Like, then we're just eating meatloaf, hamburgers. Like, we would just be eating the same stuff for the fights for like months.
Well, I feel like too, even just to start, like say
Yeah.
you
I
sell
wanna
a
see if it
25,
works.
yeah, then great, then you buy 50 next time.
and then it's like,
yeah.
I'll create a demand and be like, look, there's 50. When they're gone, they're gone.
But it's
Buy
cheap-
a ticket.
It's cheaper. I mean, you can go and do a pop-up and only drop a little bit, as opposed to, okay, now I have to get a building and I have to get a license and we have to open a
Employees.
restaurant and then, that's easier.
It's the same thing. It's like, do you want to put out an album or do you want to go have fun and make money?
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not looking to do that. That's a huge commitment. And, and it's gonna ruin a lot of stuff. And I don't want that headache. I'd rather go see what happens. If it's so successful, I'll eventually end up with a brick and mortar.
Well,
Anyways.
that's what that's what I'm saying. I think the other thing, if it works, will pay for the other thing.
Yeah.
So that's the whole like point, you know.
So I'd be going the opposite of spending all that money
Yeah.
opening up and then just going, oh, crap.
Yeah, so everything,
Yeah.
so everything's working for you.
Yeah.
You're in your lane. You're doing your stuff, and then COVID hits.
Yay.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
That was a great time.
you guys kind of fought through it though. I didn't see you guys. You were trying to play live stuff. You were one of the first people on Zoom and doing your own
Oh
thing.
yeah, well, because it's all I do. It's not like I did this, for extra cash or like
Yeah,
fun thing. Like this
it's
is all I
different.
do.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, 2 weeks, flatten the curve. Like I'll be, 2 weeks I'll be gigging again, and it turned into like months of it. So like I wound up just like trying to find these like Zoom virtual things so that I could still play for people, and then like put in your virtual tip jar, in the video description, and like people tip me.
Yeah.
It was great. Like
a lot of people did it, and it was everybody was appreciative. It was like, holy crap! Like I miss not going to shows. And if somebody says, "Hey, I'm going to do a virtual thing," and it's like, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm just sitting on my couch, like I'm in. Instead of standing, I'm in.
But see, like with the fans thing, like because they know me, like they know that this is all I do and that I had no income. And so I feel like that's also why they tip me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I got a lot of that. I mean, like you said, it was 2 weeks, and then I quit the post office and started doing this, 4-5 months before the pandemic hit. So like I don't have real paperwork at that point. I was never paying myself. This was the first year where I was like, I'm going to give myself a paycheck. Boom, COVID. And then they're like, you need this paperwork to get assistance. And I'm like, I don't have that.
Oh, man.
And then people are like, oh, your landlord, you don't have to pay rent. And I'm like, I'm not getting into that situation where now I owe them 10 G's because I didn't want to pay, so I was like, I'm just going to keep trying to go. So I started selling the t-shirts for $10, and it was like, boom, 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 boom. And then it was like, okay, well, I got $400 or $500 here. Like, I don't know. I'm sure it's like how you are, like, because you've been doing this, you hustle. So it's like, it doesn't come out of you. Like, you don't stop doing it.
I feel like if something doesn't work, then you're like, okay, scratch that. I've got to move on to something else.
And if you're not like that, you're not doing it.
But I also feel like because like your shirts are pretty dope.
Thank
you.
I
think if you have like a good product, you're like, well, that didn't work. I can move it and do something else with it. I think that also helps. Like when your music doesn't suck or your product doesn't suck. You're like,
I mean, it's kind of like make it or break it at that point because I'm like, I knew what I had in the clothing the whole time, but then it's like, I'm trying to build a clothing company 15 years ago with absolutely no resources in some backwoods town. Like I'm not in LA where like everyone's like, oh yeah, this is where we make clothing. Like I'm in Nazareth, and I'm like, where do I get screen printing done? And then I'm like, well, this is the way I want my screen printing. Who does that? No one does that around here.
Really?
Yeah, it was very difficult, and I just didn't give up. I was just like, no. I was like probably naive to the whole thing.
Do you do the designs and everything yourself?
I wish. I'd save a lot of money. I come up with the ideas usually, and then what I figured out is kind of like how to creatively work with an artist. It took a long time. Riz Art, the one guy who primarily did a lot of my work, that's pretty much where I learned to how to work with an artist, where it's very similar to getting a tattoo, where if like I'm like, hey, I want a bird, and then I just let them draw a bird. If I'm like, hey, I want a bird and the feathers are this big, it ruins everything. So then like I kind of give them a creative freedom, and then we start going back and forth, and then like those text messages are my favorite because they're like, here's how it looks, and I'm like, change this, and then we go back and forth, and I'm like, it's done, and then nobody buys it.
I don't believe that.
No, but like that's how I was just into art, and I think all of this is because I was just frustrated creatively and like just couldn't find a lane, and this is what came out of it, is me working with different people and like doing creative stuff. But the t-shirts was the first thing I did.
Recording music is the same process.
Yeah.
With they send you the mix and you're like, oh, that piano line sucks, or like whatever, it's too loud, like take it out, and it's going back and forth. So it's interesting that there are similarities.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know if that's what you're supposed to do. It's just how I did it, because he would send me something and I would be like, in the beginning I was afraid to be like, oh, make a couple changes, and then after doing it, you have to be very upfront. And then a friend of mine, when we were doing the commercial for the working class shirt, like he produced it, and he's like, what do you think? And I'm like, it's awesome. And he's like, don't ever take the first thing someone sends you, because you can't, you know what I mean? Like you can make it better. Like tell me exactly what you want. Don't ever take the first thing, because usually what comes out, and he's right, usually when you push the envelope and be like, no, I want this, this, and this, the end result is always better than the very first thing you get. But I didn't know that's how you write music as well.
Yeah, it's very,
it's fun.
It's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot
addicting.
of give and take, because I'm on the other side. So I've had people send stuff to us when I was in school recording. It's different.
Yeah.
It's different because the artist has something in their head that they're visualizing, and sometimes you have to walk them out of it. Like, listen, I know what you're thinking. It's not going to sound good. It's just, trust me, it doesn't. The best is live, like doing live music. I quickly learned, and my teacher was like, man, I got to tell you, he's like, don't listen to the artist. He's like,
really?
You know better. of how it should sound. They're listening to, they got so many things going through their head. They're playing, they're hearing stuff. They don't know what the full picture is. You do. And every time we go and do something, the guys are like, just turn my mic up. And he goes, watch this. He goes, is it good? The guy's like, perfect. And he goes, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. He goes, it's all bullshit. He's like, you have to just, he's like, you set the mix, you set everything. You are the one that adjusts it.
Yeah.
They're getting into it. They're feeling it. They're getting, all excited. Adrenaline's pumping and all that stuff. Like their ears are starting to close up a little bit because that's what happens. And they're like, you're not hearing what everyone else is hearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have to find somebody that's good enough that can do it and is good. Because there's a lot of stupid sound people that go, I know what I'm doing, and this sounds like crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's a lot of live, and that's what's it. I would go to a lot of live performances and just sit there and stare at the audio guy and see what he's doing and go, this sounds like complete shit. I don't know what you're looking at.
Well,
I don't know what you're hearing in your headphones, but it is not playing out with anything in this room.
Yeah, and sometimes they get mad at you.
Yes, it's your fault.
Yeah, like me as the artist, I'm like, I can't hear myself at all, and they get mad at me.
Well, because they think that you're just playing, and that's what people don't understand. If you're on a stage and you're playing, you are hearing completely opposite of what everyone else is.
Right. To
them, they're like, oh, no, it's great. That's why sound checks are always hilarious. People, like when they first start getting into it, they're like, I hope this is right. I hope this sounds good. And people are like, yeah, but they can't hear it. It's a complete opposite thing, and people don't understand that.
Well, it's also like with monitors and things, it's what you need to hear.
Listen, I can turn your monitor up and your headphones to be so loud. You'll be like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's so loud.
And then
the actual mix is nothing.
Yeah, it's like mix it out in the house and make it sound good, but I need to be able to hear what I need to hear. Like I don't,
and some of the
balance it, whatever.
And then it's your room too. Some of the rooms that they do live sound, there shouldn't be anybody playing anything in there. It just does not. It doesn't work. You have to adjust so much. Like you should have to not adjust 18 million different things, because every time you do it, you're slowly adding more and more to the music, and it takes away from the actual. That's why the best that I like is just a person, a guitar, and them singing. Because
but
it's just
even like with that, like I've had things where I always want my voice to be louder than the guitar, like way louder.
I know, but you don't have to.
And but they always are like, no, I want it like let's balance it. It sounds better. I'm like, no, I want my voice louder.
I know. Well, you know what though, and this is what we always say in the podcast here too. You get somebody that's never talked on a microphone, and they sit down and I go, all right, well, let's do some levels, and they're like, I don't like the way that sounds. Well, that's what your voice sounds like. You don't hear that. You're hearing the internal vocal. You're hearing the bass. It rattle around, and you're going, well, no, that's really what you sound like. Well, I sound so high pitched. That's what you sound like.
Oh man.
And then you're like, so every time I get in, I'm like, okay, let's make them sound more adult. And then you just turn up the bass a little bit, and they're like, that's amazing. Yeah, well,
interesting.
Yeah, no one can hear themselves.
Super interesting.
Yeah, no one likes the way their voice sounds. No one does.
Really?
I sound like you're like someone's pinching their nose.
No, you don't.
When did you start playing back at gigs again? Because are you doing stuff again?
Yeah, so I started gigging like early July.
Yeah.
Doing like patio stuff, tents and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So did that, and then I think we shut down again at some point.
Yep.
Didn't we?
There was a second one.
Yeah, there was a second shutdown. Wait,
on the 19th wave.
Was that?
Yeah.
Was that
I remember
December?
that day of defeat.
The early December shutdown, or was there another one before that?
Thanksgiving.
Because remember, you weren't allowed to have Thanksgiving with your family.
Yeah, and I had
only
a gig.
3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
So you had to be
pick
you had to be
family
real
members.
selective.
Yeah.
You didn't make the cut.
My mom listened, and it ruined our Thanksgiving. I was so pissed.
Oh no.
Way to go, Nance.
I think we went out to a socially distanced dinner somewhere. I forget where we went, but no, we usually don't cook for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, my mom won't ever let me.
Why?
She just overcooks everything.
I was gonna say you are a cook.
She watched I'll never forget it. Hard Copy was on, or something with Geraldo, maybe even Current Affair, and they premiered the mad cow disease in England. In England, not in the United States. And since that day, she stopped eating meat, overcooked everything, and she used to be a really good cook. And then that Hard
She's
Copy
just paranoid,
episode,
so she just overcooks it
still
to make
does.
sure it's all dead.
Still does.
Oh man.
So like the turkey is like, I'm just like, More gravy. But
man.
the last couple years, she has gotten better.
But you're saying so you didn't have to do that this year?
No, I want to cook, and I'm like, I want to make everything, and we'll put seasoning and mayonnaise on it, and it's gonna make it better, and that the mayonnaise makes it juicy, and like it cooks inside.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, and then we could do this, and you don't got to do anything because you could just sit there. And then she's like, nope, we're doing string beans and dry turkey.
Oh,
yeah.
bless her heart.
She is a saint though. So you started picking gigs back up, and what are things looking at now? Is it kind of, do you see the light at the end of the tunnel, or do you think it's gonna be weird for a while?
I still think it's gonna be weird for a while.
Yeah,
really. At least the gigs that like the things that I would really super be stoked about, like the bigger shows. I don't see that.
Because it's gonna be it's a lot of, even with comedy. A couple of my friends started sending me links where there's like, they finally found like a venue where it's like the correct setup and you can get a decent amount of people in there, but then they just got to do a bunch of shows. But the big stuff like the Sands and stuff like that, like I don't know when that's coming. I don't know. It might change though, because they're gonna start doing, the UFC wants to do like full stadiums in Texas, and it's like if that starts going, it might start triggering other states. I don't know. It's gonna be a weird summer.
I mean, if things start to do that and the cases don't rise, it will definitely be incentive for other people to do it.
And I think that's the ultimate argument is going to be,
what happens?
when is someone the people are just going to go, we're not doing this anymore.
I see it.
Because I don't foresee them saying, okay, guys, we can stop. You can take your masks the wrong way. Keep
even
pushing
even
as long as they
shopping
can.
yesterday.
I don't see that.
I saw a bunch of people just not wearing masks, and that was like alarming. Not like I care. I just whatever. I want it to be over. That's where I stand. I'm overweight and I have asthma. I don't want to breathe through a diaper for the next 6 months. So when I was seeing it in Giant, I was just like, all right. Well, there's definitely the pushback here.
Well, and I also feel like they've been saying that if you get the vaccine, the 2-shot
they
vaccine,
say that now. You don't have to wear the mask.
So maybe they're like, I got it.
Yeah.
All right, great. I don't know.
Will you travel out of state to go play gigs, or do you think you'll push it that hard if other states start opening up?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Good for you.
Yeah, I like traveling.
Yeah, and this is your living.
Yeah, and it's like you get to like see places, and that's where you build your fan base outside of your local hub.
Yeah,
that's where you get people and you build things in Georgia and little one-off shows and stuff. And so to not be able to do that has been weird. And like just meet other people outside my circle and to grow that. But I really grown like the home base through COVID, which is different because I haven't really super focused on that.
Yeah.
I just kind of am like, this is where I make my money, my local gigs, and that's it. And now during COVID, when I was doing these virtual shows and it was people like here in the Valley tuning in and like liking my page and watching and finding me somehow, I was like, no, there's something valuable in still really honing in on where you live. And so that actually kind of was a little bit of a game changer for me, because you have this big vision of I want to be worldwide and like all this stuff, but it really does start like where you live, like your home base, your home state, your hometown. And so I think I kind of forgot about that, or like pushed it aside because I was so focused on big picture. So I've actually gone back to that mentality of growing from like the center out.
Yeah. It's also hard when you start somewhere and then you see success and then you want to take it and repeat it in other places to look back and be like, oh no, I got to go be successful again. Like, just doesn't make sense. And I mean, when I started this, I always thought I had to get out of state. Like, I got to be in California. I got to be somewhere. And I moved to Virginia with my brother, and then I moved back. And then like every time I kept doing it, it just kept staying home. And then like we did a podcast, and thing we did went viral, and they talked about it on a Sirius XM show in California, and then that's kind of when it clicked, and I was like, oh, I don't gotta go anywhere. Like, I don't gotta go anywhere because it started here. It can stay here, and no matter how it goes from here, it's still gonna grow because it's where it started at.
Yeah, I agree. And it's especially again with like with social media and stuff, and this reaching, you want to go viral, you want to hit millions of, but it's like those people don't stay with you.
No. But I think too, I mean, that
No,
was
not at all.
no, but
Like,
I think,
so it's like, so what? You got 1 million views. It's like, are they going to all come to your show? Because
Yeah.
no, but like I said, that because of this pandemic thing, it kind of was helpful because you could sit there and play, and everyone's at home, no one can leave,
Yeah.
and like they're looking for stuff. Like I want to hear music, I want to try everything, and you probably gained a whole bunch of fans.
Yeah, but it was still like because it was
Yeah.
like teaming up with like,
Yeah.
you've seen
Yeah.
some of them probably. They're like, Southside Bethlehem did
Yeah.
like a little music, and it's still weird because it's online, but you're still reaching local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like still a local show.
You have to take it and push it some other way.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird.
Yeah, you've got to do a virtual show for, a Georgia. I keep using Georgia.
You should go. Georgia's one of them, by the way.
Yeah, I've never been to Atlanta. Maybe it's subconsciously.
Well, my friend lives outside of Macon, and it's
Oh, really?
She said it's
It's
open.
probably really
It's
good.
gonna
No
food.
one. It's open. She's like, it's why. She's like,
Well-
I don't know what you guys are doing up there, and I was like,
Maybe I'll play a virtual show there. She can come. You can
Yeah, Macon.
What are your
Making
plans for the summer?
I actually, because like travel restrictions are like easing up.
Yeah.
I actually want to it was on my bucket list to go to like different states and things and like either take my guitar or not, or just, go. So I definitely want to just go to other states other than Pennsylvania, basically. I still love New York, things like that. Don't have any more new music coming out other than Car Crash, the one I
Yeah.
just put out. Again, for all the reasons I said earlier, it's just, I don't know, it's not lucrative right now. And I think I have enough content where it's like, if I did a show, I think I have 6 singles now that are like available on Spotify and SoundCloud and all that stuff. And I'm like, it's enough for a little like 20-minute opening act thing, whatever I need to do, it's enough original music for that. At this point, for me making like pennies on these
Yeah.
streams.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It's plenty. It's enough for now. It's still fairly new.
And you're super young. Like, you have your whole life ahead of you. Like, if it's just starting now, where's it going to be at in 10 years when you're like, you don't come across as a person that's going to stop doing this. It's either going to turn into other avenues of creativity, or you're just going to keep dabbling and make music, but then do food or go over here and travel. And like, you're always going to be doing that. So it's like, where all of this is going to be at in 10 years, like, that's totally, you could have enough to do a 2-hour set, or you could have a full album out by then. Like, but the point I try and get across to everybody is like, just do it. If you just start building it, like, you're just going and doing whatever you want to do, which is the biggest amount of freedom you could possibly have as a person. I'm getting by. That is it. But that's all. Everyone was always like, you're going to make $1 million with that clothing company. And I'm like, I just want to get by. I want to do this. I want to do what we're doing right now and pay my bills as if I was at a job. That's all I want to do. And then
Doing this.
But doing this
Yeah.
is now, I'm not ever going to, like, the other day I was like, you're insane. Like, you're never going to stop doing all this. I'm not ever going to stop doing this. I'm going to keep doing podcasts. I'm going to
He'll be
drag
60 talking to himself into a camera.
I'm going to be dragging.
Hey,
I'm going to be
remember?
dragging him along to do the next thing that he's going to be kicking and screaming about. But we're going to do it.
I like this.
Yeah.
Though. It's a good.
Yeah.
It's a good
And it was
energy.
totally by accident. I
Yeah.
think he tricked me.
Yeah.
Because when he first said he wanted to do it, he's like, I just need you to come over and do audio. You're an audio guy, right? I go, yeah. He wants to do a podcast. And he was like, you should probably talk on it. I don't want to talk. And then all of a sudden,
Really?
no. And then here we are.
Yeah.
How many years later?
And then he just absurdly knows a lot about everything. So like, every guest that would come on, he'd be like, oh, and he'd just start talking. I look at him like, how the fuck do you know anything about that?
I know,
He's
a
like,
little,
I read
I know
lot.
a little about
Yeah.
a lot of stuff.
No.
Just not a lot about one particular thing.
I mean, well, it works for this.
It's good
set,
enough.
right?
It's good enough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Love
I
it.
want to bring it back full circle, and then I want you to play a song for us, if you will.
Okay.
But I didn't know you. I only knew you out of social media. I didn't know your story. I didn't want to dig into it too much because I like getting to know somebody. But like, the key elements of like the things that really stuck out is, you do what you want. You don't care if anyone thinks anything about you, and then you don't stop and you just go. I've never really
Yeah.
seen this much confidence in somebody before. It's refreshing. But
I don't believe that.
Hats off to you for just doing what you do. Like, you just do your shit. You want to do it. You go do it. You get paid to do it. Like, do you have any people that just? I know so many people that just do not do it. And it's the hardest thing to do. Like, what was hard for me is that I had to have a bunch of different jobs, and then I was creating this while I was still working, but then to jump out of the security of working for the post office and then jump over here. But like, you have just bypassed all that, and you're like, no, I'm just getting paid to do this.
No,
like, you've made a lot of really strong, bold, extreme decisions that most people do not make.
I think I didn't say this during this podcast, but my first job was a hostess, and I folded silverware at an Italian restaurant, and I worked there for maybe a month, 2 months, and I quit. And then I bought all this equipment from Sam Ash, and my dad and I, like, we taught ourselves how to use it.
That's awesome.
And then I've gigged ever since. So I was a hostess for 2 months, and that's
the whole point of the show. It's the whole point of the show. And the whole point of the show.
So that excuses of people just going, I don't have time to do this, so I could never do that. That's bullshit.
I just hated that job so much. It inspired me. I'm
That's
like, there's
perfect.
something
You literally
better than
like took my job away from me. Like, I was like, all right, well, I guess we're not getting into like deep, serious stuff. I guess we're just gonna bullshit now because she just does this shit, and there's like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't really have an on and off. Like, it's just on. And like, there was stuff where you were talking about like how you just started doing gigs again, and then you started doing the Zoom, and now you're going to different states. Like, there's people who just sit around and question, like, well, should I be doing this?
Yeah.
What should we do? Well, let's put out an album. Well, how do we put out an album? Like, you just bought equipment and started learning how to use it. I mean, it's very similar to how this got to where it's at. Like, I just started buying this shit.
But like,
he's telling me how to do this, then I'm like, what do we do with video? He's like, I don't know video.
Yeah, when we first started, he's like, we're gonna do everything live, and I go, we are not. I'm not doing any of that stuff. Oh, we want to have 8 guests at one time.
Yeah.
We do not want to have 8.
But I learned my lessons from all that.
But also, like, all of this stuff and the lighting and the whatever, like, it's costs money.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's scary. Like, I think if I remember, I think my dad bought, because I didn't have any money at that point. I was folding silverware. Yeah. And making my car payment. That's what I was doing with my folded silverware money. So it's like, I had my dad, who I think gave me money up front to like buy this equipment. And so it's like, I know other people like don't have that.
There's ways around it.
Like, my situation was easy. Yeah. It's like, Dad, can you mow
I don't think it's easy, because a lot of people, and don't not give yourself credit for this, because a lot of people are given shit and they do nothing with it. A lot of people are given a massive opportunity, and I mean, I've had people down here, here's the studio. Oh, thanks. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of people who are given shit and they don't work hard for it. You have your parents obviously has instilled work ethic into you, so it's like you took that opportunity and turned it into this. Do not downplay that.
I think my dad actually gets very sad when he's not working.
Yeah.
So maybe it's from him. I don't know.
There's loopholes around stuff. I called people. If you want it bad enough, you'll figure it out. And it's like, I called people, and my buddy's like, do Sweetwater. You can get all the equipment from there.
Okay,
and
I've used them.
They break your payments down into 3, and it's kind of like a credit card, but there's no interest as long as you got 90 days to pay it. All right, well, that went from, $1,000 mixer. All right, well, let's break it into 3 payments. That's much easier for me to sacrifice a couple $100 every month. Now we got a mixer. And then I said to him, what do we need to buy? Microphones. Hopefully those are cheaper than that. They are. Cool. Then we bought microphones. And then even now, it's like, I hit up my buddy, and we want to do Zoom, because it's like, I have guests that we want to do in Cali and different stuff, and I want to start growing the show out, and it was very costly to get all the equipment to do that, to run this professionally. But I made it happen. I just was like, cool, we got to buy that. All right, well, I'll get this much today, next month I'll get this, and now we got it all. It's sitting over there, and then now Zoom's going to be available to us.
That's awesome.
But it's like, if someone could have gave me that money,
Zoom will be done correctly.
Yeah.
Not.
Oh no.
There's so. I don't know. All I told when we did this, I was like, we're gonna do this. Like, our audio is gonna be correct.
Okay.
I'm not. I listen to podcasts all day long, and there's big podcasts that make millions of dollars, and the audio sucks, and it bothers me, because it's just I feel like you're stealing from everyone if you don't do it right. So when he said he wanted to do video, like, we have to do video properly. It can't just be one camera up on the top of the ceiling. You can see all of us, and we're like, it's like a jail, like an inmate cam. Yeah, like, hey, look, we're all here. You can't. I don't want. We're not doing that
vibe.
We're not doing that.
It's
that's cheating.
That might be the vibe for the cooking show.
Uh-oh.
Well, you're gonna have another one facing down to food too.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
I don't know. I'll bring you back on for that. You like your food.
Oh yeah, I do. I'll taste test it.
The door's open to anything you want to do. I definitely would like to work on projects. I have some different ideas that I'd like to pitch to you. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and it's just been super easy. Like I said, you took my job away, and this has just been bullshitting about music. What song do you want to play?
Okay.
How do you want to do this? I don't know. Jesse, this is where you take over. I'm just going to try and not spill stuff.
This is the big finale, right?
Oh, yeah. Unless you want us to air this first and then play the interview.
Oh,
I'm just
you
kidding.
can edit that part out. This is called Car Crash. It's new. It's
Yeah.
kind of new. Can I still say it's new?
Yeah.
It came out 2 years ago. It's brand new.
New to the show.
Just kidding. It came out 2 weeks ago. I wrote this with my mom.
Together?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. On a dark stormy night, had the ride of my life with you. And a leather jacket and a little black dress, we flew. But my dream come true, it turned into a screaming headlight on the news. Bass thumping, pulse jumping, hormones humming. No, didn't see it coming. We were a car crash, baby. It happened so fast, baby. Everyone stopped and stared, but nobody cared. Heart shattered like glass, and then my world went black. Car crash, baby. A car crash, car crash, car crash. We were a car crash, baby. Ooh. We never had a chance to build a romance. The sound laid out a spike strip. You drove us through it. Now, my heartbreak is on display for everyone to speculate. They're judging. I'm wondering how I didn't see it coming. We were a car crash, baby. It happened so fast, baby. Everyone stopped and stared, but nobody cared. Heart shattered like glass, and then my world went black. Car crash, baby. A car crash, car crash, car crash. We were a car crash, baby. As the traffic crawls by the scene, they're all thinking, thank God it ain't me. We were a car crash, baby. It happened so fast, baby. Everyone stopped and stared, but nobody cared. Heart shattered like glass, and then my world went black. Car crash, baby. A car crash, car crash, car crash. We were a car crash, baby.
You wait for someone to talk.
Wait till it slowly fades away.
That's really good.
Thanks.
How long did it take you guys to write that?
So like sessions usually last 3 hours, typically.
Yeah.
And I think we did that one in 3 hours.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was just like the one that's online, like that I put out. That was like a cleaned up demo. It wasn't even like I wasn't even doing it for real, like to put out for anyone to hear. We were just like, oh, we finished it, with plenty of time within this 3 hour thing that we blocked out with the guy who produced it, Anthony Gallagher, and we were just like, let's do a quick demo. And I was like, I heard this like stacked vocal thing where it was like that low part with the high part on top. And so I recorded both parts, and that was a demo. And then I was listening to it during COVID, and I was like, that's really kind of dope, and I should put it out. And then I was like, hey, can you clean this up? Like, can it be cleaned up from this demo? And he was like, yeah. And so he cleaned it up and sent it to me, and I put it out, and it was like super easy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was the easiest out of all the things that I put out
Yeah, but
thus far.
that's a testament of how good it is.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Well, if you
Thanks.
well, what I'm saying is, if you can just go, hey, can you clean? There's times they can look and be like, I don't know what we're gonna work with.
Yeah, well,
But if he can go, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, well, I wanted his honest. I'm like,
Yeah.
do we need to re-come in and like do this?
And
And
he's like, no, then that's your answer.
right. Yeah, he listened to it and it's like,
Yeah.
no, this is we can work. I can work with this, and it's like, cool, okay, great, awesome.
Do it.
Yeah.
Send it out. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Where can anyone find anything about you? Where can they listen to their music? I want to give you a chance to plug everywhere that you have stuff going on.
So gigs are posted on Facebook. Kendal Conrad Music is like the URL thing.
Yeah.
And then I also post on Bands in Town, which is this like, this
Yep.
the gig apps for people who are not on Facebook. And then like everything else is like Spotify, Apple. It should be easily findable, Kendal with 1 L. That's super important, not 2 L's, because for some reason it won't come up.
No, there's a TikToker that's close to that name.
Really?
Yeah.
How dare you even bring that up?
No,
Well,
it kept
no.
coming up on the stupid thing, and I was like, who the hell's this girl?
That's great though, because like
Yeah, it'll
maybe
drive-
people,
yeah.
it'll bring people to my page by accident. But no, it just should be my name on like everything. I'm on YouTube. The only thing I don't use is Snapchat. I never got into Snapchat.
Neither did I. And then I like downloaded and couldn't figure it out.
I
I'm
think
like, I'm outta
I
here.
claimed my name.
Ooh.
So Kendal Conrad, is
Which
me.
is good.
So
no
it
one-
is
yeah.
me, but I don't think I've ever used it. But everything else is just my name. I should be on like Tidal and all those, SoundCloud, all those things. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, anytime you want to promote anything, anytime you're doing anything, you're more than welcome to come back on.
Yes.
If you are a
love that.
first-time listener, everything we do is at neveragainstudio.com. It has the YouTube, the Facebook. It has everything on there, the apparel. It has if you want to get anything from us. Everything is on neveragainstudio.com. Subscribe to the YouTube. That's what I'm trying to build right now. And do you have anything you want to end the show with?
I do not.
All right.
Don't end it with me.
I don't ever know how to end the show.
Stream Car Crash.
Yeah, there we
Go
go.
stream my song Car Crash.
Yeah, go do that.
Please.
Thank
Please
you.
and thank
Now
you.
do we say bye or what do we do?
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
I'm